Kelly Ripa, presenter of Live with Kelly and Mark, enjoys watching ABC shows like The Bachelor but also Bravo's The Real Housewives. She recently shared why she likes a certain show. Continue reading to learn more. Having some insider knowledge of The Real Housewives, Kelly Ripa, the majority of Live with Kelly and Mark viewers are already aware that the talk show host frequently makes appearances on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. She and her husband, Mark Consuelos, appeared on the show in recent months. In fact, some Bravo viewers questioned whether she was still in her pajamas. She also thought the following day was the beginning of her hiatus. So she entertained Andy at home and almost missed a day of work. Bravo's Real Housewives are hosted by Andy Cohen. Michael Consuelos, Kelly Ripa's son, is another insider who is close to the cast. Fans noticed that Lisa Rinna appeared alongside her on Live with Kelly and Mark last year. Naturally, Lisa spent years on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Kelly hinted that she believed it would have been fantastic if her two sons had slept with Lisa's two girls, Amelia Gray and Delilah, during the time. She also recently entertained Harry Hamlin, Lisa's husband, and Renee Gilbald, his niece. The Real Housewives' Harry Hamlin, was on the talk show host show, according to Live Monsters and critics. According to the publication, her guests were discussing his new cooking show, In the Kitchen with Harry Hamlin, on Live with Kelly and Mark. Naturally, when Harry Hamlin brought up Lisa, the topic of Bravo's Real Housewives came up. On the show, Kelly Ripa and Mark frequently conduct cooking segments. Fans discovered that Mark Consuelos enjoys preparing barbecue. He also had a knife injury on his finger. Thankfully, nothing negative occurred this time, but Kelly did share the reason behind her preference for a specific Real Housewives program. She recounted that on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Lisa Rinna had persuaded Harry Hamlin to demonstrate his culinary prowess. What do you think about Kelly Ripa favoring The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills over every other Bravo series? She asked. Is her allegation that she watches it for the food P0 Rin amusing to you? Kelly Ripa has never been shy about her television tastes. On Live with Kelly and Mark, the morning talk show host is known for dishing on everything from high-end fashion to embarrassing family anecdotes. But recently, she gave fans a peek into a guilty pleasure that had the studio audience laughing, nodding, and maybe even taking notes for their own weekend binge sessions. It turns out Kelly Ripa really loves the Real Housewives franchise, and she's not afraid to explain why. Morning confession. The revelation came during one of the show's signature host chat segments when Kelly and her husband co-host, Mark Consuelos, were bantering about what they'd been watching at home. While Mark admitted to spending too much time catching up on late-night soccer matches, Kelly leaned in with a mischievous grin. I'm going to tell you something, she said, lowering her voice as though sharing a big secret with millions of viewers. I love The Real Housewives. Not just one city, not just one season, I mean all of them. It's like therapy, comedy, and chaos all wrapped into one. The crowd erupted, and Mark raised his eyebrows. All of them? You're telling me you've seen every city? He asked, feigning disbelief. Kelly shot back. Don't pretend you don't sit down and watch with me. You know you've got opinions on Teresa and Erica Jane just like the rest of us. Kelly explained that part of her love for the franchise comes from its sheer unpredictability. You turn on an episode and within 5 minutes someone's either throwing a glass of wine, planning a charity gala, or both at the same time. It's chaos, but it's fabulous chaos, she said. And sometimes after a long day, that's exactly what you need. She went on to say that she finds a certain comfort in the dramatic spats, lavish parties, and over-the-top personalities. It makes you realize that no matter how dramatic my house can get when Mark and I are debating over laundry, or when the kids visit and raid the fridge, at least no one is flipping a table. Yet. Interestingly, Kelly argued that despite the glitz, there's a relatability to the Real Housewives. Sure, they're wearing couture and living in mansions, but at the end of the day, they're friends navigating relationships, loyalty, and sometimes betrayal. Hadn't we all been in situations where someone didn't invite us to a dinner party or where gossip got out of hand? Okay, maybe not with helicopters and private chefs involved, but the core of it is the same, Kelly shared. She admitted she sees a bit of herself in some of the housewives' quick wit and sharp comebacks. If I ever ended up on one of those reunion couches, I think I could hold my own, she said with a laugh. Of course, Mark couldn't resist chiming in. He admitted that although he pretends to be uninterested, he often ends up watching from the corner of the couch. I'll be reading or checking my phone, and then suddenly I'm like, wait, why is she mad at her? Didn't they make up last week? Mark confessed. So yes, Kelly, I guess you've converted me too. Kelly pounced on the admission. See, you're just as invested as I am. Don't act like you don't have strong feelings about Beverly Hills versus New Jersey. A healthy escape. Beyond the entertainment, Kelly said she sees the Real Housewives as a kind of healthy escape. We live in a world where so much real news is heavy, heartbreaking, or overwhelming. Sometimes you need to let your brain wander into a space where the biggest crisis is whether someone wore white to another person's party. It's a release, and I think that's why people love it, she reflected. Kelly even admitted that watching the show has inspired her to loosen up her own approach to parties. I used to worry about every little detail. What color napkins, what appetizers. Now I just think, hey, if they can host a dinner party where 3 people storm out, and it's still considered a success, I can put out chips and salsa and call it a night. Audience reaction. The live studio audience couldn't get enough of Kelly's Housewives commentary. Some fans cheered when she mentioned particular cities, while others shouted out their own favorites. One audience member, caught on camera, waved, and shouted, "Team New York forever." It turned into a mini Housewives appreciation moment on morning television, with Kelly practically running a poll on air about which franchise reigned supreme. Would Kelly ever join? Inevitably, the question came up. Would Kelly Ripa ever consider starring on a Real Housewives show herself? Kelly laughed so hard she had to take a sip of coffee before answering. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't last a week. First of all, Mark would refuse to film half of it. And second, the minute someone accused me of stirring the pot, I'd burst out laughing and blow my cover. But she admitted the idea of a crossover amused her. Can you imagine a Housewives reunion hosted by me? Oh, I'd bring snacks and a whistle. Mark nodded. You'd definitely referee, but let's be honest, you'd also instigate just a little bit, because you can't resist good TV. Why it resonates, Kelly's love for the Real Housewives is ultimately about connection. She pointed out that so many fans, across age groups and backgrounds, bond over the show. You can be at the grocery store, mention Dorinda or Kyle, and suddenly you're having a full conversation with a stranger about who's right and who's wrong. That's kind of magical, isn't it? She said. She even credited the franchise with sparking conversations in her own household. Our kids will come over and roll their eyes when they see us watching. But then Lola will sit down for 10 minutes and start asking questions. Before you know it, she's hooked too. Closing thoughts. As the segment wrapped, Kelly made it clear that she doesn't see her Housewives fandom fading anytime soon. It's pure entertainment, she declared. It's messy, it's fun, and it's a reminder not to take life, or parties, too seriously. Mark teased her as they went to commercial break. Well, I guess I know what we'll be watching tonight. Again. Kelly grinned, unfazed. You'll thank me later. And with that, the morning show moved on. But fans were already buzzing online, delighted to learn that America's morning sweetheart is just as glued to the Housewives drama as anyone else.